and welcome to episode 19 of Ina Knits. This is my video podcast about my passions for yarn and knitting. And my name is Ina and I am welcoming you from the stormy, windy and rainy Norway. And today we are accompanied by Knut, which is a storm, and he has been around for several days now, and I apologize in advance for any noise. The poor lighting, or at the moment it's not too bad actually, but the weather is changing all the time, from like sun glimpses to dark sky, heavy rain showers and strong winds. So it's quite unpredictable and noisy. But that's how Knut is. He's very moody, apparently. But anyway, I welcome you new viewers and returning viewers. It's so nice that you are here and will spend some time with me and my knitting today. So thank you for that. So Knut, he made me consider if I should postpone the recording of this episode another week, but I think we just have to roll with it, because if I don't get to record today, it will be another week before I get the next chance. So please bear with me and Knut and hopefully it won't be too bad. I will try to edit out the worst part of noise. We have a knit along going on at the moment, and it is shawl knit along where we are knitting the fantastic shawl called Lumpy Space by Stephen West. And it is not one of his recent designs. I think it is dated a couple of years back, but nevertheless it is a gorgeous shawl, and I talked about it in length in my previous episode, episode 18, because I have a big crush on many of his designs, and the eyeball shawl in particular. And the Lumpy Space is resembling the eyeball shawl in shape. It's quite, I think I would call it a lens shape, and it is a perfect shawl if you like to wrap it a couple of times around your neck, yeah, almost like a scarf. And we are many knitters who are currently knitting this shawl together. The knit along started on September 1st and will run out November. And so you have lots and lots of time to finish up your shawl, or even cast one on now or maybe later. It is I would say that it is a quite fast knit for a shawl. So if you are a fast knitter, you would have no trouble of knitting one complete shawl within 1 month. We have one fantastic knitter in the group who has already casted her shawl off. And I think she only spent 2 or 3 weeks from start to end on the Lumpy Space. And if you're curious to see all the wonderful shawls, please head over to the Ravelry group for this podcast. You can search it up on ravelry.com by searching for Ina Knits on the groups tab. And there we have a chatter thread where you can see all the shawls that are currently on the needles, and I also created a finished shawl thread where you eventually can see all the finished shawls. And of course post your own pictures if you are partaking in the knit along. And on Instagram you can search for the hashtag lumpyspace_KAL, and then you can look up all of the wonderful pictures of that shawl on Instagram. So I have some wonderful prizes for the knit along, and if you would like the chance of winning one of these prizes, you need to partake in the knit along. And I will draw prizes from the finished shawl thread on Ravelry, and I will also draw one prize from the hashtag lumpyspace_KAL on Instagram. So you will have the chance of winning prizes whichever area you choose to share your participation and your pictures in. So, okay. First up, we have some wonderful prizes of lovely, lovely, lovely yarn. So the wonderful and talented dyer Kari, who is Kari Monster Knits, she donated, and she has her own dye studio called Shawl Studios, which is a shop on Etsy, and she donated these two beautiful hanks of her fingering merino nylon sock. I mean, these colors are just gorgeous. And that's not all. She donated another one as well. I just love her colorway name. I mean, look at that. Nacho Mama's yarn. And this is called Red River. So this will be a prize. This will be a prize. Wow. I just can't believe this super generous donation to the knit along, and I just am so envious of you lucky ones who will be winning these gorgeous hanks. I mean, come on, they are just amazing. So thank you, Kari. It's so generous of you, and I encourage you all to go and check out her web shop on Etsy and check out her yarn. She is dyeing and selling from Texas in the States. And we have another amazing prize for the Cal as well, and that is sock pattern, and it is called Honeycomb and Bees, and it is made by Katrine. And she is a Norwegian designer, and she also has a podcast. And I just discovered it, and I think she has at least 2 episodes out. And I am very excited to check out her podcast as well. She is Norwegian, and she lives in Sogn and Fjordane, and she is podcasting in English. So if you are on the lookout for another English-speaking Norwegian podcast, please check her out. Her podcast is called The Mystic Knitter. Thank you, Katrine, for donating that beautiful sock pattern. So I now want to show you how far I got on the Lumpy Space shawl. So this is how the shawl is looking. So this is my shawl, and I just completed section 2 of the shawls, and I actually only have one section left, which will be the outer border, or a big section of stripes and lace around the whole inner part. And the construction of the shawl is very interesting because it is constructed of this piece, which will be section 1, and you knit that piece twice individually, and then you knit them together by section 2, which is the square in the middle. And I very much like my color choices. I must admit that I have been on the fence about my colors from day one. But now I kind of like them, and I think it will turn out great. I knew from the start that my colors were a bit out of my comfort zone, but I wanted to challenge myself color-wise and not knit another shawl in pink and grey, because that has been my shawl theme for a long time. So these are the colors I've chosen or used so far. This green one is from Tweedy Todd, and it is their merino nylon fingering, and the color is called Gump. This beauty is from Ancient Arts, and it is a superwash merino nylon fingering. The colorway is Little Wild Things. And I originally planned to do the middle section in the green color, but I thought that the bright, or the white, which is not white at all, but it's packed with speckles in all the beautiful colors that you can see here, and so I didn't think that I did the pale light color justice in these stripes, because it's the green color is so dominant that you can't really see all the specks and the lovely colors that's going on in the white ball of yarn. So that's why I wanted it to shine in the middle, and I really like it. I think it's super beautiful. I did one modification though. It's supposed to be eyelets, an eyelet pattern in this square as well, but I totally forgot, so I only knitted it in garter stitch. That's fine. I think it's very nice either way. So. And I haven't actually started on section 3 because I'm not sure which color I will continue knitting with, but at some point I need to introduce my third color, which is this one, and this is from Martin's Lab. It is 100% superwash merino, and it's called For the Love. And it's quite possible that I will now knit a solid block of this color for section 3 instead of striping it with one of the other colors. Yeah, I have to think a little bit before I I decide there. But it is a very, very fun shawl to knit, and I highly encourage you to cast one on if you're interested in a shawl for the colder months like I am. And I also want to show you this beautiful progress keeper, which marks the beginning of my round. And this one is one of the progress keepers that I got from Nordic Stitches. She had many beautiful rainbow sets in her Etsy shop. So, and I believe that she still has these sets with one rainbow progress keeper and a lot of stitch markers with beads of rainbow color, and they just so adorable. So that's all for the lumpy space shawl for this episode. I am not rushing knitting this shawl at all. I'm trying to knit in a slow pace and enjoy it while it's on the needles. I do have a finished object this week, but frankly, it was almost finished last episode as well. So the Cumulus blouse is a pattern by PetiteKnit, and she has so many beautiful garments out, and I really enjoyed knitting this sweater. It is knit out of 2 strands of thin lace silk mohair or mohair. You know, there are so many kinds of this yarn out. I used Sandnes Tynn Silk Mohair, and the color is 5042. So I would say it's a lilac-y color. And well, the only thing I didn't enjoy that much was that I was knitting with 2 strands, because then I always have to pay attention to the fact that I'm carrying both strands all the time. It's very visible if you drop one strand or if one of the stitches only has one of the strands. But I think I managed well. And it has a gorgeous I-cord edge around the deep V-neck. And I love a good deep V-neck, because I'm quite busty, and I think that the V-neck kind of goes very well with you know, busty figure. It also has I-cord bind off on the arms and on the bottom edge as well. But I didn't enjoy the way the sweater looked after I bound off with I-cord. And I think that was where I was at last time I spoke to you about this sweater. So what I did, I unraveled the I-cord bind off, and I decided to go for 2x2 ribbing instead. And for me that turned out much better. I think I did about 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, and then I bound off quite loosely. I haven't actually worn the sweater yet, and the reason why is I am a bit unsure about the fit. It is supposed to be an oversized sweater, and it is. It has a bit of positive ease on my body, but I really wish that it had even more positive ease, if you know what I mean. Sometimes a sweater can feel that it only adds pounds to my body. I am a bit on the fence about it, but I will try to wear it and see if it maybe grows on me, and maybe it even stretches a bit when I'm wearing it, and then I will feel like $100 or $1 million, that is, you know. So yeah, but I do love the color, and it is warm and it is light at the same time, so it's a gorgeous sweater, and I can't wait to knit another PetiteKnit sweater because the design is gorgeous, and it is a wonderful and simple pattern to follow, in my opinion. If you have followed me for a while, you know that I have had some knitting goals for 2018, and they were pretty much concentrated around the fact that I wanted some more garments or sweaters or cardigans for myself, and that's why once I casted off the Cumulus blouse, I felt the urge to cast on another sweater project. And I had the Arboreal sweater on my knitting list for quite some time. And this is a beautiful colored stranded color work yoked sweater by Jennifer Steingass. It's knit out of DK weight, and as you might know, I have a couple of sweater quantities in DK weight in my stash. And I now saw the opportunity to use one of them for this sweater. So I picked out this one, which is a high twist merino DK from DyeNinja. And the colorway is all about Eve. And I had a couple of options for the contrast color for the yoke, but none of them felt quite right. So I had to go a couple of rounds before I picked out my super treasured yarn, which I got from Meg of Wool and Cookies podcast, and this is Lolodidit in Lolo's favorite, which is superwash merino, cashmere and nylon. This is the colorway called Hippo for Mom. I know. It's full of these beautiful speckles, and some of them are quite similar to the color in this yarn, which is not probably turning out quite right. It is, I would call this a burgundy red. Anyway. This is my sweater so far. And I just love the speckles of the contrast color and how they create some interest in the color work. It's gorgeous. And this is a very interesting and fun sweater to knit. I love the color work section, and I know that once I've finished with the color work, it will be just stockinette all the way, and it will soon buy. And before I know it, I will have another sweater for my wardrobe. Yay! And I also love the fact that this very special to me yarn will become a part of that sweater. I could knit socks out of it because it's fingering, but it will be part of a very special sweater instead. And of course, since this yarn is fingering, I'm holding it double together with the DK weight. Perfect! I have been casting on like nobody's business lately. I'm not sure. I think it was a kind of a combination of the fact that I felt super inspired by several makers that knitted on super nice things, and the fact that I suddenly had a strange feeling of not having enough things on my needles. I don't know why. Anyway, enough excuses. There is a Norwegian podcast called Garnbutikken Fortuna, and it is a podcast with two lovely ladies, their mother and daughter, and they run a gorgeous yarn shop together, which is called Garnbutikken Fortuna. And they have this wonderful podcast where they, you know, for the most part, talk about things they're working on, and they also show off a bit of their wonderful yarn in their shop. And they have a shop here in Trøndelag where I live, but they also have a web shop, so you can just go in and see all the super amazing yarns that they sell. And the one thing that I really love about them is that they don't have the same yarn that every other yarn shop in Norway has. You know, it's the same yarn wherever you go. But these two ladies have made their shop out of yarn that is not readily available in Norway. And they sell, for instance, hedgehog fibers. They have had vivid yarns. They have had Stray Cat Studios, and they're selling garnsur, and oh, there's so many. Anyway, all that to say that these two ladies have this wonderful podcast in Norwegian, and they're making so many gorgeous things. And Ellen, who is one of those ladies, she also is designing socks and sweaters and cardigans and lovely things. And she has a sock design out which is called Minipetini. And Minipetini socks are the September socks out of their year-along knit-along called 12-18, which means 12 pair of socks in 2018. And Minipetini, yes. So this sock is designed to be able to use up mini skeins. So you often have like a mini skein and you don't know what to make of it. And in this sock you start off casting on with the mini skein, and then you stripe in the main color, and then you have a sock. Clever? Yes, I think so. And I think that if you have a 20-gram mini skein, excuse me, you will have enough for the entire pair with just a 50-gram ball of fingering weight for the rest of the sock, or the socks. Yes. So I have combined this mini skein, which is one of a kind, I believe, from Ulltøsene. And Ulltøsene consist of two other beautiful ladies from Trøndelag, and they have a yarn dyeing business called Ulltøsene. And they also have a web shop with amazing yarn. And I combined that one-of-a-kind mini with this yarn. Is a hand-dyed Arwetta Classic from Filcolana, and the color is 519. And I do think that these color blend so well together, because you have a lot of this teal blue in the multicolored ball from Arwetta. And this is sock number 2. It's on the needles. I also have to mention that this is the first time that I seem to have succeeded with a short row heel other than the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I've tried short row heels before, but it hasn't turned out well at all. I always have big holes on the sides here, and it looks messy and not nice at all. But this time I think it's quite promising. It's not perfect, but it'll do. That was sock number 1. If that wasn't enough, I have been traveling. I went with 2 dear friends from university way back, 20 years ago. We studied together at university. And we went to Zurich, or Zurich, in Switzerland for a weekend trip. And then I really felt like casting on something new for the plane ride, for the plane. So I pulled out one of my dear sock blanks. This is a double knit sock blank from Count as a Blaze. It was part of a club that I participated in this winter. And I'm pulling out 2 strands of fingering all the time. So that's why I decided to knit them 2 at a time. And I'm knitting just plain stockinette vanilla socks. I did a 2x2 rib, and I did it only for, I think it was 10 rounds. So these socks have now been laying in my handbag since that trip. So they're not flying by very fast, but I'm just enjoying knitting them very much. Next WIP is the pair of mittens in the Selbu Mitten Club 2 by Skeindeer Knits. And it is her beautiful Evja mittens. I am knitting these out of Peer Gynt. Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn. And the white is just an undyed white color 1002, and these mustardy yellow or curry, maybe it's a curry color. It's color number 2035. And this is how it's looking so far. I've just reached the point where I have a hole for the thumb. And this pattern is super beautiful and I love it very, very much. I have only one concern though, and that is that the cuff here is a bit too snug for me. It's quite tight down here. The rest of the mitten is fitting perfectly, but this is a bit snug. So that's the Evja mittens, and yeah, only a matter of a few days she will release the second mitten pattern in this Selbu mitten club, and I'm super excited to see how the second mitten is looking, or the second pattern is looking, because these are just super gorgeous. But I'm only on the first mitten, so it will take me some time to complete the pair. If you know, when you're all over the place and you have just cast on a bunch of things, you don't really get much progress on each and every project. That's the nature of casting on too many things. Oh well, there's no stress. Hello! It is now a couple of days later. My camera, or the battery of my camera, died. And I had to recharge, and when it was finished, I had the whole house full of teens and kiddos, and I haven't had the chance to sit down and record again until now. So now I have 1 hour before I have to pick up the kids, and I will try and wrap up this wee podcast episode for you. And I think that I was about to show you my last work in progress, and that was the mittens that lovely Lily of Nordic Stitches did release a pattern on a month ago or so, and it is the beautiful Scandinavia mittens. And you can see on these mittens you have the Selbu rose, and you have some of the patterning from the Setesdal kofte. So it is based upon old Norwegian or Scandinavian knitting traditions. It's a beautiful pattern, and Lily so generously donated a copy of the pattern for one of you lovely viewers. And before I show you my WIP, I have been drawing a winner from the thread of the Ravelry group, where I posted about this giveaway, and the winner was number 20, and that was Saltbox Knits. Congratulations! And I have already sent your name off to Lily, and she will send you the pattern as soon as she gets the message. So thank you so much, Lily, for that wonderful giveaway, and I love your mittens. The design is absolutely gorgeous. So I have many mini balls of tuku wools in my stash, and I was so fortunate as to receive all of these mini balls from Sanna from Finland. Yeah, I have some of them here, but they're all natural wool and treated lamb's wool, I believe, and they come in many beautiful colors. I will put in a picture here of all of the balls so you can see what I'm talking about. And I've been dreaming about the perfect project for these mini balls of yarn. And my thought was that I would knit the Scandinavia mittens out of these mini balls, and I would use the white 50-gram tuku wool hank for the patterning, or as the contrast color. So this is how far I got, and I tried to group the colors. So I used some browns and oranges for the cuff, and then I was over to blues and teals, and then I would continue with yellows and ochres and do some pinks and purples and reds for the end of the mitten, and the white would be the contrast color for the pattern all throughout. But unfortunately I discovered that it was becoming a mini mitten. So I don't know if you can see, but this is the point where I was supposed to cast off or put stitches on hold for the thumb, but it is, I mean, I needed my mitten to be at least 3 or 4 centimeters higher before I reached that point. And my thumb is starting down here, so I can't really have the cuff going. You know, it would be most inconvenient to wear the cuff as high as this. So, and this is at least the point or the height where I need my thumb to go. So, well, I should have been checking my gauge, which I apparently wasn't. So I need to go up a needle size, and I think that I need to change to another yarn, which is, I think this is fingering wool, but it's on the thinner side. It's so if I change to, for instance, fin ull or something resembling fin ull, and maybe I can then go up a half or a whole needle size, and then I will meet gauge for the mittens. And yeah, so that's that. I will be ripping this wee mitten out and restart with another type of wool and then a larger needle, and I will knit this pair for sure because I love the pattern so much. So that was the story about the Scandinavia mittens for now, and it will continue later this fall. So yes, that's that, and for the rest of this episode there will be a little yarn haul. I have been purchasing yarn. I think something happened to me after I recorded and published the special episode about my yarn stash, because I became a bit aware of what I got and what I didn't got, and I felt like I had some holes in my stash for some reason. So I will show you what I have received in the mail and what I have purchased in yarn stores, and I will also be showing you at the end a little footage from one of our trips to the cabin in the mountains, where me and my son were spending a weekend alone, and we got to meet up with some sheep and had a very lovely bicycle ride together. So please stick around to the end for that if you're interested. But without further ado, let's show off some yarn stash. I have to start off with showing you the absolutely gorgeous yarn that I got from Kari, or Carrie, I guess she pronounces her name, from the Shawl studios, and she was the wonderful, generous and talented dyer that donated 4 lovely hanks for the Lumpy Space Cow. And she also sent me some lovely yarn. And this is a self-striping sock yarn, and I can't wait to cast these on. It is the most joyful and cheery colors that I can imagine knitting with. So I will pet these for a while, and then I will cast them on maybe during the the darker winter or fall months when it's almost black outside and you need some fresh colors to keep you alive. These will be perfect. And she has made 2 hanks of 50 grams. I guess it makes it easier if I want to knit 2 socks at a time. So I'm very excited about these, and I'm excited to see how the stripes develop, when you knit. And she also sent, well, it's 3 minis, but I think that these 2 red ones are the same color, and they are 5 grams, and the yellow in the middle is a 10 grammer. So these are called Salsa, and the yellow in the middle is Yellow Rose. And this one is called Prairie Sky. And this yarn is available in her Etsy shop. So you should really get over there and grab yourself a hank if you're interested in gorgeous self-striping sock yarn. I also have bought some Norwegian yarn, and I was so inspired by Lily of Nordic Stitches because she has been purchasing yarn from the Norwegian dyer called Fjord Fibers. And let me grab her card for you. This is her card, Fjord Fibers, and she also has an Etsy shop where she sells her gorgeous hand-dyed yarn. And I bought these 2 lovely fellows, and they are both wool and nylon blends, but the amazing thing about this yarn is that it's non-superwash yarn. Non-superwash sock wool in fingering weight, and they're really fluffy and yummy and soft, but at the same time you can really feel that they don't have the superwash treatment, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit more toothy, or has a bit more resistance to it. So I imagine if I knit socks out of this kind of yarn, they they will feel much warmer than fingering weight socks out of superwash wool. So these two beautiful colors is called Polar Nights and Calypso Island. And she also included a beautiful little stitch marker and teas and chocolates in the order. So yay, what a treat to receive these. Oh, I'm just in love with these colors and I can't wait to make something lovely out of it. I was also very inspired by my Instagram friend Veronica, and she is stash knitting on Instagram. She has a lovely stash, and she is knitting her lumpy space shawl out of BFL nylon blends, and I think they're mostly from Stranded Dye Works. And you know Amy of Stranded Dye Works, she makes the most beautiful colorways. And I felt like I had some holes in my stash color-wise. I really like blues, but I didn't have any blues in fingering weight wool. So when Amy had one of her shop updates, I couldn't resist, but I had to buy this beautiful BFL nylon hank, and the colorway is called Frostbite. Ah, it's so beautiful. It is on a creamy white base with some light blues, some strong blues, some almost teals and purples. So nice. Then I went over to holstgarn.dk and I realized that Holstgarn or Holst Yarn, they had a sale on selected colorways of their super soft yarn, and I love Holst Super Soft, and I actually didn't have much left of my super soft yarn stash. I've used it up, almost all of it, so I figured it was about time that I you know, filled in the gaps in my yarn stash. So I did. I bought these colorways, and this is a navy blue color called Navy Heather. I bought 4 of this one, and 150 grammer is 287 meters. So when I buy 4 of these, it will be a sweater's quantity for me. Yay! I also bought 4 of Sweet Pea. I bought 1 of Opal. Is this color called? And I bought 4 of Marlene. So beautiful. Last but not least, when I was in Zurich, I had to check to see if I could find a local yarn shop. And so I did. I can't recall the name of the yarn shop, but I can put it up on the screen here for you. It was a lovely yarn shop in the old town. And 2 ladies who worked there were so service-minded and very nice, and they helped us, you know, pick out some very nice yarns. So first of all, I bought some sock yarn. You can never have too much commercial sock yarn, can you? This is Lana Grossa, and Lana Grossa seemed to be the, you know, the main yarn brand in that local shop. But I do believe that this is German. No, it's not. It's Italian. Made in Italy. Okay. Okay, but the Lana Grossa... Okay, it is German. But the yarn is made in Italy, but that doesn't matter. It is a German yarn brand. This is a self-striping yarn. The color is 2706. Meilenweit. And these two are glitter yarns in a gorgeous teal color. Color is called 2905. Late Night. We also saw some lovely garments on display in that shop, and one of them was a beautiful infinity scarf that was knit out of silk and silk mohair with stripes, section stripes of silk alone and section stripes of silk mohair, and it created a beautiful texture. And I never thought that I would end up purchasing pure silk, but that's what I did. So I bought Ito, which I believe is a Japanese yarn brand. So this is a cone of pure silk. The color is salvia blue. And I bought this little mohair silk ball to go with it as stripes. And I got two of each of these. And my friend that I traveled with, who don't knit herself, she really wanted me to knit her one of those infinity scarves. So I said yes, I can do that, because I don't think it's a whole lot of work. And she picked out this yarn combination. So I think it was quite good. That was actually all that I bought in that yarn shop in Zurich. But it's a nice thing to come home with some souvenirs, woolly souvenirs. Well, now it's raining ice balls. We call it hagger in Norwegian, but what the English term is, I don't know. So that was actually it. I have reached the end of the episode. I have shown you all of my purchases and all of my WIPs. And well, I don't feel like I was very consistent. The past month has been a bit scattered. I've been like starting on this project. I didn't feel like knitting on that, and I continue with some other knitting, and I haven't been able to finish off so much because I've been like all over the place. And well, it's important to me to feel happy about my knitting and to knit on things that I actually enjoy knitting on. So I guess the result of that is that I at any time have lots of things on my needles, and I'm fine with that, but at the same time it's important that I don't have too many WIPs and that I feel some progression on the things that I'm working on, so it's a balance. So anyway, I did forget to mention about the Scandinavia mittens. If you haven't already and you're planning to knit those mittens, or you are knitting those mittens, Lily is hosting a knit along for the Scandinavia mittens at the moment. I'm not quite sure how long the knit along is running for, but if you jump over to her Ravelry group, I guess you would find some information there about it. And I also know that Lily, she has opened up a Facebook group for her podcast. So if you, like me, love the work of Lily, I encourage you to jump over there. If you're on Facebook, join her group there and be part of her inspiring and lovely community. So that's it, and I thank you so much for sticking with me through my all over the place episode, and I hope to see you very, very soon. Bye bye!